Ugh. So in this particular game, they're going to run Juggernaut again. We saw that C9 does well running the Juggernaut composition because they or TL knows how to play it well because we saw it against CLG. Except in that game they had Lulu top and in the mid lane they had that Luden Zeko Corky, right? So that except they had the same composition otherwise, right? They had Janna, they had obviously Kog'Maw, and they had the Janna. So these three picks are the same, except this is in mid. And why I don't like Juggernaut compositions with a Lulu mid and a tank in the top lane is because if you shut the Kog'Maw down, there's no longer any other damage source. And even if Kog'Maw falls behind early, as long as you have somebody who can deal some poke damage, or maybe you have a Rumble in top lane, or a Corki, or an Ezreal, or a LeBlanc in the mid lane, you can still fight and wait for Kog'Maw to hit that late game and become effective again, even if he does fall behind a little bit early. This is so risky because if Kog'Maw dies a couple of times, there's no one else to pick up the slack and you just get rolled. But what's so great about this game from Cloud9 is they have a really good answer to the Juggernaut coming in. Of course, they're going to be ready for it after they saw it against CLG, and also because everybody in the world should be ready to have to play it against them because it's such a powerful composition right now. So in this instance, they have good poke. So one of the things that Juggernaut does well is try and poke you out, right? So they have some answer to that poke themselves. They have extremely good engage with Nautilus, Sejuani, and Hecarim. And also, I think Nautilus is one of the best champions for dealing with Juggernaut right now because when Kog'Maw gets into the front line, which is the purpose of the composition, he has a much easier time with that point and click ult just to go ahead and ult the Kog'Maw and start to set up and engage. You still have some good wave clear and some good poke with the culling as well from Lucian and the two AD carries. So they have more than one threat and they can split push. Whereas TL is they have to group as 5 to do anything, right? And this is important too because they don't have the best wave clear in this particular game. But it's important that TL's going to have to group as 5 because when we're going to watch this game, we're going to see how good Cloud9 is at winning this game purely through controlling back timings and wave control.
Single point of failure now for Team Liquid. They no longer have. They also really lower their poke damage with the Scion top overall. It definitely makes them a harder tank ball to cut through and it's hard to kill in the first place. You add the fact
A little more of the same picks we've been seeing. Not as much flavor over in EU. Those guys are spicing things up all over the place. Match title life.
Indoor corner down 0-2 versus Team Liquid. They tried to plug up the other holes and gave away the Lulu. But see if Team Liquid can execute. Once again, Cloud9, they do have a set of champions that they are strong on as well. They have support moves, but interesting from Team Liquid here. An Ott level 1, 5-man down blocker. Sneaky will get the early
spotted out
farming.
immediately.
Yeah. So pretty much foiled that plan.
Well, they're just brute forcing their way into getting lane swap wards. It would seem like Scion can be immensely good in 1v2s. Kog'Maw also not someone who is super strong first 3 to 5 levels of a lane.
Yeah.
Lane swaps is actually something that Team Liquid desperately wants this game, but they are trading lane swap scouting. So at this point, if Cloud9 really wants to get the scouting information, it's available to both teams.
So just standard deep boards for both sides, nothing too exciting.
They start to come online once your Kog'Maw has maxed the W and Trinity Force at least. Then
But Sneaky and Lemon aren't going to show. They're already in that brush.
so much Cloud9.
And C9 is intentionally staying in the dark on the top side of the map, so you're not really going to get any information whatsoever.
Requires good positioning. When you do move towards that
Well, they're going to get the 2v2 as a result.
Scion and you do have strong zone control.
A lot of the early game will be about whether or not Cloud9 can make the right preparations to split push this game. That's one thing that hurts when you're running such a ball of death here for Team Liquid is if they do start getting pressured by a 1-3-1, how well will they actually be able to engage? Because we know the Team Liquid has the ability to disengage, but as they're disengaging, can they poke? And can they deal with Cloud9 splitting high on Corki and balls on Hecarim and just making it a big old runaround game?
Yeah, definitely have to watch your flanks as well. A home guarded Hecarim can ruin your day. You're trying to protect a single champion.
So
See though, it all starts.
identical starts here, but because TL decided to go up into the top side and help out with the leash, they already find themselves behind. So a bit risky for them. Sneaky also hitting that level 2 first. So they have to play back already, and this is really, really good, because the longer you can delay the Kog'Maw, the longer it will take for TL to actually group and fight effectively, because they don't have another threat, another damage threat.
Piglet was going to lane to set up the freeze, whereas Sneaky and Lemon were taking the Krugs. So as far as the battle of who gets the early experience in this series, this time it goes to Sneaky, and both times previously, the team that takes the early camp has had a pretty good time right lane.
The other thing about running these protection compositions is that with the new jungle, you don't exactly have a lot of early jungle pressure.
Is he gonna be alright?
Yeah, he's fine.
Close. Alright. He's fine. 40 health is fine. One more hit from the big.
They nerf the damage on the babies.
Well, that's what we usually see from me thing in that safe realm. Out of the jungle for the team.
So absolutely nothing's going to happen for a while.
Try and take folks advantage.
Wasp really dominating this lane, just being their 1v1 so far. 26 to 19 as he goes for a ward. Looks like he knows he's going to be pushing into that turret a little bit. So Paul's letting it happen.
So here's the gank.
All around the map.
Yeah, the special dies too.
Here for Meteos, Arctic Assault will apply that red buff. If he can get the hit off, that's going to be under special, forcing a flash here. That's a dead special, and
Special flashed a bit late right there,
little jungler intervention here for Meteos.
because there's the stun.
Assault will
So he gets the double knock up.
apply that red buff. If he can get the hit off, that's going to be under special, forcing a flash here. That's
Yeah.
a dead special, and
Probably should have tried to flash that Arctic Assault. Maybe could have lived, especially if Nunu was coming from the side, but who knows. But this is huge. I mean, that's a very important gank right there. And Dominate wasn't there at the right time. Yes, they had a ward in lane, but with the gap closer here, Piglet is playing that. We watch Piglet's just playing that way too far up. You're not close enough, and with the tri-brush here and the way that Sejuani can cut you off in this situation, this is extremely risky to go for. And perhaps there's a communication issue where they thought Dom was closer or something like that, so that would have been a less risky play to make. But you have to be very perfect in that situation, because this is disastrous for this composition.
And that's going to heavily deny Piglet's farm moving later into this game. That's exactly the start that Cloud9 wanted. And as far as single points of failure going, if you're going to be playing Kog'Maw in this composition, even just in laning phase, Piglet had poor positioning right there for the war control that the team had at the time. Easily capitalized on by Cloud9, and the best start they've had in the series.
Cheering up Bjergsen a little bit there after that tweet as well. Another pro kind of giving insight to what we're seeing on the cameras in between games here from the teams. So Cloud9 had a pretty good talk, but so far have righted a bit of the early game. Not out of the woods yet. As Team Liquid wins this one, it's all over. Good push in the mid here, high. Very aggressive within the minion wave.
Houdini.
Boots, okay, so we got Boots looking for that phage as well. Make sure that home guards come nice and early for him in the top lane. He also gets himself a ward here, knowing he'll push back on Quas as he backs, tries to deny some of the CS. So slow. Can't get pushed up ever.
Not a home late phase for himself, rather than
So I'm a bit unclear as to why Phoenix has fallen so far behind in terms of CS in this matchup. I mean, Corki is very strong in mid, and those phosphorus bombs are difficult to deal with early, but Phoenix still isn't playing this lane particularly well, and the fact that he doesn't have farm either is going to come into play later on.
Let's see. Backs are quite against the wall. Big plays wise and further positioning for how this lane can go.
Yeah, as far as protecting Piglet, he is nowhere near carry status and he's not in a position to succeed in this lane.
It was the window that I was looking for. They opened it. Medios. Now, see if Sticky and Lemon.
Oh, by the way, the people who are saying like that OGN cuts away from the screen to show like the pro players and stuff, let me ask you why I don't like this is because this is both denying that the tweets don't provide substance in terms of analysis. They distract the casters, and it also blocks away part of the game. But it doesn't provide any memorable value to this game. Think about an OGN when there's a big play being made. Yeah, they take a moment sometimes to cut to like a full screen of a player, but how many memorable moments have come from those full screen reaction? Like Ryu's face when he lost that duel to Faker, Piglet smirking, that Piglet smirk gif that you see. Tons and tons and tons of these have been really embedded within the memory and the storyline of the game. No one remembers these stupid tweets. There's nothing memorable that happens with these tweets. So you're annoyed in the moment because you don't get to see the game, but you're not going to remember that tweet ever. Ever. Nothing that goes in that box that has tweets in it, people are going to be looking at it and be like, 2 years from now, you'd be like, yeah, remember when they put that tweet on? No.
And now, this is the line that you have to tread because they want to play very aggressive. They want to deny as much CS as possible while they have the advantage. However, they cannot afford to have a Sion teleport in behind them and turn something around. If you coordinate that with Nunu, even running down the lane, Nunu runs down the lane, blood boils. If a Sion is behind you already, then they can close the distance. And the constant snowballs command is enough to chase you down a lane. So that's one thing that Cloud9 do have to worry about is clearing the brush behind them. They do not want anything to upset this early lead that they have in Kog'Maw. They want to continue to punch together.
And the lane phase early on in this game is really favoring Cloud9. Hecarim over top of Sion. Phoenix, not the dominant player he was in game 1 and 2, despite, because of the Sion pick, getting to choose to play Lulu in a sense against Corki. But I really, really wonder how set Team Liquid was on having Corki mid lane, Lulu top, and that last picks of Corki Nautilus for Cloud9, whether or not that threw off Team Liquid's strategy, because honestly, I can see the logic behind the full tanks with a bunch of support, but that is so much more narrow of a team comp than having a Corki in the mid lane. And I don't know if Team Liquid got thrown off with that last pick, because in the lane phase, it's not that last pick.
Look at this CS differential that's come up. And let's look at where that really started to open up, because I was so angry at the time with these tweets. So let's pay attention to the bottom side and see how because he only starts up 10 CS here, and that's kind of because of the early pressure that came from that gank. And they have good wards, but they actually just go back to get the Gromp right here. So let's actually go back even further. So So that was right after the death, right? And so they're going to come into this lane. And Piglet hasn't recalled yet. So this is really problematic. So if we look at the timings... Why didn't he recall earlier? Okay, so Sneaky and Lemonation are going to push this up. First blood onto Sneaky, that's very important.
As single points of failure going, if you're going to be playing Kog'Maw in this composition, even just in laning phase, Piglet had poor positioning right.
So they push it up, and Piglet stays under turret in order to catch this wave, because otherwise he loses about a wave and a half right there of the XP and gold. But this gives the recall timing, so Sneaky's going to be able to go back and pick up a pretty strong early item with the first blood money, because he was very fortunate in getting that on the gank. So that's pretty huge. He gets a BF sword in 5 minutes. That's massive. And this came because TL wasn't set up as Piglet and Xpecial were pushing forward to safely push up against the stronger ganker, which is going to be Sejuani early on. So super fast BF sword right here. And then X Special gets in back into lane with Piglet, and they're pushing forward because Piglet needs to recall. But wait. Perfect timing when they come back. So what happens is Lemon Nation is able just to walk into lane and then freeze the wave right in front of his turret because the timing is so good right there.
Definitely you would rush to this level.
C9 gets a bit lucky, but this is how they're able to truly begin denying the Kog'Maw. They also have a pink and try, so there's no way they're going to know whether or not Meteos is there for a gank.
Probably planning on using his teleport to get back to lane.
And then watch this wave. It's just going to sit there on the bottom side. So they have to go back. They feel like they have to go back and do Gromp, and they don't have any deep wards in. The only time they're going to feel safe is when they start seeing Meteos on some of these wards up here and at the time of the blue buff respawn.
Yeah, as far as protecting Piglet, he is.
So Dominate comes down, but all of a sudden now it's another 10 CS advantage for Sneaky because of this.
Was the window that I was looking for.
Really good punishment from Cloud9 and snowballing off that bottom lane gank.
Can now this is the line that you have to tread because they want to play very aggressive. They want to deny as much CS as possible while they have the advantage. However, they cannot afford to have a Sion teleport in behind them and turn something around. If you coordinate that with even running down the lane.
So this is really good, but C9 does have to be careful because they don't have TP available at the moment for them, and Quas isn't being pushed out. So the main threat is going to be if Quas can actually use the TP advantage well. But at the same time, okay, let's look at this. About 2.5 minutes left on the TP cooldown, and this blue buff's being handed over. So C9, they are trying to hand this off, but they're on the wrong side of the map to make the play. Meanwhile, Meteos is going to have to recall by and then head into the bottom side, and by the time he gets down there and is able to start counter ganking, it could be too late. So actually this is an even better opportunity for TL. Even better opportunity because Meteos was committed up into this top side and they knew it. But there's no ward. Right? There's no ward. Because Lemon Nation is going to clear that one out. And because, look at this. Lemon never gives them an opportunity to ward right there. They're so scared of Sneaky and Lemon that they can't get into this brush. So when C9 is pushing forward, they know there's no ward in this bottom brush. Then they immediately sweep it as they clear out. So there's nothing really that can be done for this Scion. He can ult here, but that's nowhere near as dangerous because they could probably still get out of that with the amount of disengage that they have. And, yeah.
To chase you down a lane. So that's one thing that Cloud9 do have to worry about is clearing the brush behind them. They do not want anything to upset this early lead that they have with Kog'Maw. They want to continue to punch it.
And the lane phase early on in this game is really favoring Cloud9. Hecarim over top of Scion. Phoenix, not the dominant player he was in games 1 and 2, despite, because of the Scion pick, getting to choose to play Lulu in a sense against Corki. But I really, really wonder how set Team Liquid was on having Corki mid lane, Lulu top. And that last picks of Corki Nautilus for Cloud9, whether or not...
So they immediately respond to as soon as the ward goes in
Honestly, I can
and back
see
off.
the logic behind the full tanks with a bunch of support, but that is so much more.
So yeah, this is interesting already. So Piglet is going to get some CS right there, as they're not trying not to take any risks. And Quas is walking down into the bottom side now because he wants to gank and then TP into top lane if possible, with just a lane gank right here with his ultimate.
Ooh, he's doing just what we said. Hey, pick ward and both brush behind them. Good job, Lemon Nation and Cloud9.
Denying the Scion teleport.
All the suggestions for bottom lane. They've got their heads in the right space. Meteos comes early. Pink ward behind us.
Okay, here we go.
They're lined up.
Wow.
Okay.
The way he's pushing the wrong way, though, that would be...
Well, the thing is,
Now Quas has to burn TP to go to... Oh no, he's going to do it.
He's going, though.
coming. Oh,
That's good.
Oh! Ooh.
Very nice. Very nice.
Hard to miss a Nautilus.
JK.
Who needs Nunu?
And now they can transition into Dragon, but is it... The question now is it too late? Because you've already fallen behind. look, they sacrificed a little bit of like a lot of CS in that bottom lane already, and now they're losing CS in top. The only saving grace is they're going to be able to get the dragon here, but as long as C9 can continue to just kill turrets, the gold advantage is much more valuable. And in fact, with this composition, Team Liquid should not be focusing on getting the dragons early. They should be much more concerned about turrets, because come the late game, after 30 minutes, Juggernaut is such a powerful composition that's when you can pretty safely take these dragons. Whereas right now, you just need to make sure you're not falling further behind on gold, because it's the item scaling that's really going to nail you to the wall if you're TL in this game. Meteo's going to steal the red buff as a response. So Quas is smart, though, to TP top. It prevents them from killing the turret, and they get the dragon at the same time. But that CS differential is really huge, and it's going to get even bigger, too. Sneaky knows this, so he just buys an Avarice Blade right off the bat.
Is at the point where his next purchase, he could get home guards and try to even up the influence on the bottom lane. Let's see, decides to try and possibly or just stay in his lane.
We have to remember as well how difficult it is to beat a team 3 times in a row. Team Liquid last year in the 3rd place match against LMQ was up 2-0, and has the built-up confidence of beating CLG 3-0 prior, and they're
yeah, this comp is.
hold the momentum, but that will be in the back of their heads that.
And Meteos is here too, so there's just nothing you can do about this 3v3. The Nunu pick not working well with TL this game, considering that they fell behind.
Push out the lane, keep themselves safe, and they still hold the bottom turret. With Quas going back to get that top turret and them grabbing Dragon, very nice move to stop Cloud9 getting any early advantage. This 2k gold sits in their pocket right now. A Phage also finished up on high here.
Wow, 40
Triforce spikes within the next
40 CS is huge, huge, huge in this situation. At the very least, Pigler got that kill, but it's not really going to be enough to get him to the space he needs to be in.
40 CS lead that Sneaky has on Piglet. There's a good chance that Cloud9 can actually get 2 Trinity Forces done before Piglet gets his first. And if Cloud9 can force during that window,
balls go head to head. Looks like High's getting some free time in middle. There was a lead in CS by Phoenix from the roaming being done by Cloud9.
No, there's a sight stone here. It's interesting that Meteos has been able to control a little bit better, and he's been pretty much hard farming, whereas Dominate's been trying to deal with the shitty situation in some of his lanes. But no sight stone for Meteos, and he's still able to, I think, be a little bit more impactful so far in this game.
Early warning system so that the side that's not really a big problem for them because, as we've already seen,
Meteos is really good at putting turret pressure down, though, and making sure this lane can push up safely.
Top lane, making moves here. Is Team Liquid kind of try to figure it out? Cloud9's going to try to give himself an advantage.
So the CS differentials aren't really moving yet, but you do see balls going into the enemy jungle right now and starting to take Krugs and be even more annoying than he already was. But didn't take... I really think he would have been better off taking Smite this game, because the Ignite... It's not going to do much to their tank line. Sure, maybe you get that Ignite off onto Piglet, but Piglet still has shields and wild growth and everything like that on him, so it'd be better just to get more items at a certain point.
Oh, doggy. I don't think he expected that right away.
Let's see what Balls can do with this completed Trinity Force, because at the moment, Quas is already heading to grab the money from the turret rather than the dragon. I said that last time, though, and they tried to find the dragon.
there's a distinct difference in this game, though, where they have the edge almost either
He
way.
actually has the Trinity Force this time, so
Yeah.
that's the big difference here. And he's level 11, so Balls is
Okay.
Cloud9's biggest tool at the moment. He's also got a good
They've hit their power spikes.
This is so punishing. Look at what Lemon's doing. He drags the wave up so it'll freeze again. I mean, it's very deliberate how Cloud9 is playing. They're trying to keep Piglet in a bad situation where he can never farm, right? They haven't killed the tower. Oh, now they're actually fast pushing the wave instead while he's recalled. I suppose Dragon's coming up in 10 seconds, so they were actually just doing that to save the wave. As opposed to the other times where they were doing it to try and create a freeze.
Has the money to get the home guards just yet. Now,
With
as
John
we're
in there
saying,
too,
Kobe,
Without that mid
looks
lane
like they
turret.
could push mid, but Meteos is here.
A solo wave clear from Zej, and they all back up. They have no deep wards. That may be a small instance where no deep wards cost them. They don't know that's only Sejuani, but good defense there for Cloud9. That's actually very important for them because Balls also was able to shove another wave into the turret.
Balls already has Trinity Force, but he doesn't have upgraded boots or home guard, so it's going to be difficult for him to,
Yeah, Team Liquid
more difficult for him to invade. And now he's really going to start
giving up dragons. It's because they just finished that double
taking some good advantages in terms of CS
in lane, yes, Cloud9.
and putting more pressure down with the proxy farming. That's really nice, especially since everybody's, of course, on the bottom side while he's doing that. He can take red buff right now too if he wants.
Special, but nothing out of that cog. With the dragon alive here, we see Balls on the rotation down, even with.
And TL should not fight this. They do not need this dragon. They already have that first one, and they don't need to be worried about fighting at these early dragons whatsoever. They just need to scale.
Total control of this dragon area. And they can even teleport back to the top lane if they want to save things.
This
off.
is smart.
This is Cloud9.
You need this gold. This gold is much more important to you at this point in time if you're TL than actually taking down a turret.
Not to drop more by trying to contest that dragon before they've actually completed a Trinity Force for Piglet, before he's been able to max.
But they have no damage,
Team
so they
Liquid
can't take it out very quickly, and they're going to have to give up bottom as
force it.
C9 just forces everyone into the jungle right there.
Looks like everybody from Team Liquid back to Vassal, just the turret. Balls has not opted to teleport back to the turret. That top side though, so Quas able to hack it down.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Balls should have TP top. Save that turret. Again, it's all about controlling their gold right now. It's worth trading that TP for the turret gold, in my opinion.
Huge surge in gold for them, but that could be the 3K difference.
What I want now for Cloud9 is for them to force more objectives. That was a good start. But they
So for TL, they do actually get a little bit of a nice freeze here.
Off in this side lane.
Piglet's pushing it pretty quickly.
Looks like he's going to push off the wave a little bit.
Okay, so he's just slow pushing it now.
Or hard 45 minutes and just start taking the turrets in a chain of events. They need to keep.
And so this is very defensive play from TL, but it's pretty much what they need in order to be successful right here.
And pushing.
Little bit interesting that they switched the Hecarim into the Kog'Maw lane.
and I think that they have that idea.
That says that C9 just wants to take towers right now, and they want to snowball this. And they don't really care about Hecarim being even more ahead than he already is.
They don't want to
Then
4 minutes.
we
Position him bottom.
we have this down here, and so the C9 is making a choice to fast push right now. And in this situation, this turret's really low. I think this is the right one because they need to snowball hard. They know that at 30 minutes, TL's composition is going to come online, and unless they have a very large gold lead, they're not going to be able to deal with it properly. So prioritize that. Have Balls sit on the bottom side and just wave clear with this Trinity Force. You know, he's going to be able to chew through a lot of these waves, and it's going to take a while for TL to deal with that.
Cloud9's gonna get something in the top lane, and that could be Quas along with that second tier turret. He could go down quite fast. Alting to get out. Depth charge. It's gonna hit that up, but they may not be able to chase all the way under. Meteos going a little too deep here. They should already be on that turret with a minion wave, and they may not.
Yeah,
get
they
the
overcommitted for
advantage
that.
on the Quas.
Do not
Their
forget
effort.
the
They only need to get the tower.
positives right there for Cloud9.
They only need to get the tower. They should just chase the Scion off and auto the tower.
But it cost them a
They had a
ton
Trinity
of
Force.
on the
They
side.
needed to take the turret.
Strong plays
Big
there.
mistakes.
Jeez.
Got big fast. That giant falcon keeps him alive with a 15-minute frozen.
If you can threaten the enemy by maintaining some of these ults,
along with that second tier turret, he could go down quite fast.
because look how many ults they use. They use 3 ults from Lucian, Nautilus, and Sejuani in order to try and get that kill, but there's no threat. Just go ahead and auto the turret after that. You have Infinity Edge, you have Trinity Force up in that top side. You should be able to take it down.
They don't even get the turn out of it, but
Also, this is another instance where if Balls had Smite instead of Ignite, this Ignite really hasn't come in useful yet, but if he had Smite, he could have taken out that cannon minion and saved this turret.
Strong plays
big
there.
mistakes.
Quas Cross got big fast. That giant spell keeps him alive with a 15-minute frozen heart that he built 5 minutes ago.
So there hasn't been a lot of value to the Ignite pickup as opposed to the Smite pickup yet.
On Lucian, the pickaxe just now, versus Piglet, who didn't even have a Trinity Force, and Team Liquid gets an advantageous turret trade. It speaks to the level of that mistake of trying to kill Sion.
Yeah, exactly. It's the choice right there. Piglet and Special focus the turret. They only deal damage.
Yeah, that's exactly what TL needed, but they're still pretty darn far behind right now, and this is the biggest aspect. It's where they're behind. It's the fact that they're behind on this Kog'Maw, that he's not going to be able to get a Blade of the Ruined King quickly.
Are riding the spike, and they still have
That's really, really problematic for them.
not have these ultimates though from Alice said. Probably have to wait for those. That might really be a problem.
A 1,700 gold lead for Sneaky over Piglet's Cogma.
Yeah, look at the gold difference right there.
Rather immense
It's huge.
at this point.
One BF sword difference, a little more.
Receiving,
But
and the Blood Boil,
in
the Lulu picks, and the Janus Shield, Kog'Maw would still be
in
strong.
this too, you'll notice that Meteos is actually building for an Aegis. And that may seem weird, but it cuts out all the damage. Everyone on Team Liquid does magic damage. Even Kog'Maw with the Bioarcane Barrage, and considering that's how he's going to be hitting you from range, that's how you use Juggermaw, is you play around 710 range on Bioarcane Barrage in order to hit people. You're still going to be cutting that significantly. So it looks, you may look at this composition and you say, well, Kog'Maw's the only big damage threat, but a lot of his damage is actually mixed. So I actually think that's extremely efficient in this situation.
But they're trying to pressure these side waves. Cloud9 has to make the turrets count somehow.
I feel like if Bolos had upgraded Home Guard instead of getting the mantle or the cowl there, then the play was possible for him to teleport behind at that mid turret. But without that purchase, you can see he's just going toward the team. Like he's not looking
And
there.
this Baron is so smart. So let's watch the setup on this. I love this Baron attempt.
Gold lead.
Capitalize on. Let's see though, they still are riding the spike, and they still have the teleport.
So they have a lot of damage with this composition with the Infinity Edge and 2 Trinity Forces already.
Might really be a problem.
And they have total vision control
Gold lead for Sneaky
over this top side. There's only really a pink ward they have to worry about in this brush, and there's nothing on the Baron.
at this point. But
And they know Kog'Maw's in the bottom side at the moment.
receiving, you add the Blood Boil,
So they're going to sit here and try and set up a trap because there's no vision actually on the Baron yet. And then Quas is sitting here waiting for perhaps a TP opportunity, but Meteos clears it out with Raptor buff right there.
Right now, Meteos actually doesn't get tagged there, so they don't have follow-up vision on the entire C9 team. They don't have the ward.
And then look at this. So they see the Kog'Maw in the mid lane with the Corki.
but only sees their
They see the Nunu
and that means C9 can start making
with Nautilus. And Team Liquid trying to press forward and take out this turret, but there's too much clear.
already 1-3-1 from Cloud9, but immediately Team Liquid is ready to push down mid lane. They have the Trinity Force on Kog'Maw, which is the moment they want to start protecting.
So they get it because they 5-man. This is where the Juggernaut starts getting dangerous. Because you can shield the Kog'Maw and take tower shots like that without actually doing anything to you. So TL actually just goes back and recalls, even though they're all at full.
Somehow.
I feel like
So Balls is in the bottom side pushing this, so they have this pressure.
instead of getting the mantle or the
And Piglet's going to be walking the long way. He's pinged right there, so he is seen by Balls, who has that TP available.
at that mid turret,
And then they just go straight for this Baron.
just go over
And Kog'Maw's on the bottom side. This guy has TP. There's pressure across all 3 lanes, because look at how that was set up by C9. If you go back and let's take a look at how that top wave pressure happened, okay? This is great side wave control. So if you look at how this play develops
Lulu pick.
through the minion waves.
Right now, Meteos actually doesn't get tagged there.
So they dance around, take out some wards, deny some vision. And look at this. Look at this coordination. Remember yesterday when SK wasn't doing this very well? They weren't using their side waves and having the minion wave at the same place in top and bottom and pushing evenly. Well, look what C9 does.
Half the jungle now, and that means
Beautiful.
start to make these moves. Looks like they're gonna get balls.
They lose their mid turret for it, but because TL backs off immediately, there's no more punishment. And they have to back off immediately because otherwise they lose 2 massive minion waves right here. which allows C9 to push this forward afterwards, just push all the way down this lane. Look how many minions they would lose if they don't go back off right now. They lose 3 or 4 waves. And then this is pushed up at the same time while these people are all splitting in order to deal with this problem, right? So C9 realizes this, that there's still no ward actually on the Baron itself because they've had a pink ward in there the entire time, and then they're able to freely make the call to go for the Baron. Meanwhile, Xpecial was backing. Hecarim is here in the mid lane, causing trouble. And they don't immediately suspect that this Baron's going down.
Just the Cutlass. This could be difficult.
He's gonna try for a steal. That's a real low Baron.
Dominate flash is over. It's going to be going to Meteos still on the smite.
So they actually Lemon did a really good job of ulting the Nunu so he couldn't consume that. So it came down to the smite at the end, and that was won by Meteos. A little bit dicey there, obviously, to go for that one. But at the same time, they increased their lead by another 2 or 3k by getting the kill onto Dominate as well. And they're going to lose a couple of people. Like, they lose Meteos and they lose Sneaky. But it ends up really being worthwhile for them because they take even more of a gold advantage. And now this Kog'Maw has a lot harder time pressing in. So it's a 3-for-1 in the end. But that's a totally acceptable trade, in my opinion. Oh, he did consume. But that was the idea behind the Nautilus ult, was to try and stop that.
Not exactly worth. We'll see if in the ensuing push, if Cloud9 are able to recoup some of that gold.
Cloud9 was going for a home run right there, hoping to sneak the Baron. But you could see if they overcommit to the Baron that time, it is a little bit tricky for them.
It could have been much worse for them. If Dominate had actually
disaster.
If he had actually added up the consume and the smite, see he jumps in here.
Okay, so let's take a look at this again.
He actually consumes it at like 1700.
Oh, okay. He just consumed super early because he was going to get stunned by a Nautilus auto.
He just did it.
Yeah.
Way too
But
early.
he did it too early, but he also didn't have a chance to do it later because he was getting ulted and stunned by Nautilus. So that was actually just well played by Lemonation to be in that position next to the jungler.
Was pretty strong from Team Liquid, even without Piglet being there. But now because of the Baron and the extended nature of that fight, Cloud9 picks up another dragon, and I still feel like they have control of this game for the most part.
Yes, sir.
It's going the way of Team Liquid has not pushed down Cloud9 off their pedestal that they've worked up to this game 3. Still a bit of a gold lead, and the second dragon going their way. Number 3, 4, 1.
So now C9 has the advantage they need at this point to keep pushing forward. And Piglet's still pretty far down. At least he's gotten a couple kills right now, but still no completed blade. And at this point, the armor is going to be coming in big time. So it's not just the blade he needs, but it's going to be the Last Whisper as well. Especially considering the locket's already done.
They can take off the back of this game.
Ooh, hello. That's not going to be fun for him.
So here's a maybe problem.
All right, maybe problem.
For Cloud9 is they have no way of killing Quas unless they've killed everyone else first. Because even just Quas sitting there with a Frozen Heart and Randwinds is difficult for Cloud9 to take down. If they commit any shielding to him, no way he dies in a 10-minute fight. He would
Jugger
stay
Quas?
alive. Yeah. So therefore, Cloud9 has to work completely around Quas. And the gold lead may not be as impactful as we thought, since Team Liquid can be so efficient.
But the thing is that what C9 wants to do now, it's true that they can't kill Quas, but they don't have to fight them 5v5. And they will never fight them 5v5 because they have the stronger split push right now, especially considering that a couple members still have the Baron buff. So they're able to push into multiple towers all at once and threaten them, and they're getting more and more damage down onto these turrets slowly. So C9 never wants to fight a 5v5 now. Even with their advantage, it's going to be too much for them to deal with the Kog'Maw.
There's a roar. He's going to have to get the flash out of Sneaky. Still has a bit of a gap closer with his relentless pursuit, and there the team comes in. That's going to be the teleport from Balls here. No home guard still for him, but he's going to
See, they punished the overextension. It's not a 5v5. They pick somebody off before the fight actually begins in earnest. That's actually a decent trade for TL, considering that they were getting pushed in, but they lose more farm. Huge amounts of farm lost in the top side.
No, I think Team Liquid comes ahead in that fight. The supports weren't there for Quas at the start, but the fact that Quas can still build tanky right there, and the fact that the kill went on to Piglet, as well as stopping a potential split push, it is a trade. Double 80 carry.
So we're waiting for this to kind of reset now after Cloud9's death. And they just will keep clearing these waves.
Cloud9 peeling back for fights, and that would translate to a 7,000 or 8,000 gold lead if you count everything else they could have gotten from that. They're misplaying their hand a little bit, and it's leaving the door open for.
We're waiting for something to happen. So they're just split pushing with Hecarim, which there isn't a good answer for. Whereas Team Liquid really needs to. They're doing the right thing in terms of grouping with this Blood Boil Kog'Maw. And they still have TP available, unlike Balls, so they can go farm up that big wave in bottom. And they pull back at the right time. That's really good. They forced the TP. That's a huge win right there. Forcing the TP is exactly what C9 wanted. That's like best case scenario, and it's the right call to back off after forcing it. Now they're going to have a timing window of about 2.5 minutes where Balls has TP, and they can make a play off of it. And he can still split push in the meantime very safely, which is exactly what C9 wants.
So he can land it on a priority target.
Those are close.
They're real close.
A little Fumblerooski.
You never know. The crab just sometimes it just.
Also, look at this CS differential that's been developing because they've TL has lost a lot of CS into towers at this point, like a lot of CS. It keeps happening over and over and over again as they try and make plays, as we saw earlier.
There he is. Oh, clearing wards too. He is versatile this game. Trying to be omnipresent, stick with the team. He's participated in 3 of the 5 kills with those assists. And he's also the owner of a Frozen Heart as well, as they stack 2 of those. Phoenix picking up a Luden's Echo to help out him with speed, and definitely a lot of clear coming from Lulu now with Cloud9.
I don't like the Luden's Echo here. I think that this is a really bad item that they were trying to get some more AP damage in because they put this Lulu mid, but that's not what Lulu is for. And Death Cap is a lot stronger because you just need the AP for shields and for her utility. For her shields and for her Whimsy and Wild Growth and everything like that. So maximizing your AP is a lot more efficient in a Juggernaut composition. So says a lot about this comp, I think, that they feel they need that.
Balls flies in with onslaught of shadows. The Monsoon kicks back Cloud9, but can they organize and assess who they want to kill? Yeah, it's going to be Dominate first. They melt him down. Meteos over the wall now, and this is Cloud9 not following. Not first.
So look at the setup right here.
Oh, this is a.
He's got so much.
Look how many wards that C9 has in this part of the jungle. And they're going to sweep out that ward immediately. So Lulu isn't here yet. They're clustered right here for a Sejuani ult. That's... Where is it? Where was it? Where'd it go?
Oh, this is a lot of people close to each other. Maybe we get a fight here.
Party in the Bramble Pit!
Party in the Bramble Pit.
He's going. He can start.
Those guys out.
Trying to figure out where the
This is
Sejuani
a
ult
lot
goes.
of people close to each other. Maybe
Oh, it's right here. I see it.
we get a fight here.
So it stuns several people, and they also get the really good initiation off with the... That's my favorite rip moment. The drunk party in the Bramble Pit.
Balls flies in with onslaught of shadows. The Monsoon kicks back Cloud9.
And Dominic does get like a full channel ult off there nearly. as a result, but TL being grouped right in for all of that CC made it a lot easier for C9 to get that. And Phoenix also had to use his wild growth early, so re-engaging with Piglet right now is not so much of an option.
Unfortunately
Their
not.
HP is very low.
That was a big, big one.
Oh, they are gonna pig Baron right now.
Yep.
Let's all listen to that again.
Foul. Was the
Guys out.
Oh, this is a lot of people close to each other. Maybe we get a fight here. Party in the bramble pit!
That was fun.
Big balls flies in with onslaught of shadows. The monsoon kicks back Cloud9, but can they organize and assess who they want to kill? Yeah, it's going to be Dominate first. They melt him down. Meteos over the wall now, and this is Cloud9 not following. Not going for the fight. Can they get something out of it? Unfortunately
Their
not.
HP is very low.
That was a big, big one.
Oh, they are gonna pig Baron right now.
Yep.
That's very risky, just because the shields from Team Liquid, they can oh, okay, they're just gonna go.
Well, there's
They have so much damage. C9 can do this Baron so fast.
Right now. There we go.
Ross hits it. Oh, he makes it into the pit. Threads the needle. The Baron entrance. He gets in.
Yeah, dominate down though. This is a pretty safe Baron. See, there's no peel for Piglet anymore. There's no monsoon. There's no wild growth. So actually, even though C9 has all their CC down, at the very least they still have a lot of gap closers. And when we look at Juggernaut compositions too, remember that Kog'Maw has no ability to really self peel besides like throwing down some spit and getting a slow. So he's really reliant on the wild growth and on the monsoon in this scenario. So Balls is able just to get right on top of him. So actually, this is a pretty safe Baron, I feel, from C9 overall.
There we go.
Ross hits it.
Because Quas is going to get in there, but you still have Arctic Assault, you still have dashes, and look at this, Piglet's going to try and chase high forward here, but Balls just sidesteps everything, uses his E to get right on top, and gets like 3-man rampages over and over and over again. So,
but his death body is going to be very scary. They leave Lemonation in the pit by himself. Great shots from Sneaky to take down Quas, and Cloud9 have completely put themselves in the lead here without a doubt.
This time, they put it all on the line for the
Yeah.
Baron. Take it because Nunu's down. No threat there, even with Quas jumping
take.
right in. Ooh, it paid off for
and C9 knew they could do that fast too, just because look at this, they've got Infinity Edge, 2 Trinity Forces, Blade of the Ruined King, they can cut through it so quickly.
At this point in the game, the Scion not contributing, the Nunu not having a blood boil, the Half Elf Piglet, and everyone on Cloud9 getting away with slivers. The diving from Balls as Hecarim and the sustained damage from the double AD carries is doing its toll right now. Cloud9, smart take for this Dragon.
Using those advantages very well now. The map is obviously going to be clear of Team Liquid bodies for the time being. Easy breathing room here for Cloud9 to extend that lead even more. The third Dragon now, 4 and 5 are very close and they'll probably be theirs. But they got to get these waves pushed out first. This bottom wave was gigantic, so Sneaky could be going for another one here.
How many
Look back.
swords can Sneaky buy? Because he needs every single
More.
time. Now with the Bork, he actually has the means.
Yeah, double Bork. This is really bad.
He's already got the unfinished.
And they have the engage necessary too to punish Team Liquid.
See if this is the push that Cloud9
Especially with the Frozen Heart now done also, and the Thorn Mails are going to be coming in, so really tough situation.
crucial part
I mean, C9 is still in the position where they have
And it's not like
pretty much all physical damage again, because again, Hai didn't build Luden's Echo. I really think Hai should have built Luden's Echo again this game,
major completed item.
so that you're not totally destroyed once again, because this composition isn't too different to what they played in the first game, right?
Hold on.
Where they just got outscaled.
With the frozen heart.
Ugh, get out of here.
Try to deny. Try and contain all of that throw up.
Yeah, the poke coming in.
But there are fewer tanks this game, right?
Finally
To
focusing on
abuse
the
that.
top lane split push, mid lane take it down.
To abuse the armor stacking, at least.
Can stop this Cloud9 team. They're just brute forcing their way in. Lemon Nation doesn't even really throw the hook on that one. He's just walking around.
Especially since Lulu doesn't have a Zonya's Hourglass. But I still don't like this. I'm a bit surprised they actually did this again.
Oh, they leave him out to dry. He's tanky enough, however, to keep the fight going. Lemon Nation is still fighting as the team, yes, is taking the turret, and then they might be helping him. Priorities getting all switched around, but
And that's terrible. You do not want to use Wild Growth. You do. Okay, in terms of playing Juggernaut, I'm not convinced Phoenix knows how to do it because Quas's Lulu was a lot better than this. No. No. You don't use the Wild Growth on the Scion because all that did was make them switch over to Piglet, and they're both stunned right now. And look at Balls. Fantastic engage. Gets behind Piglet. He's going to shoot him forward. Oh, he didn't have his E anymore, but he would have if he had his E up. Wow. Barely living, but you can't use Wild Growth on a Scion in this composition.
But a single point of failure, low damage. You're seeing this Cloud9 lead, and the tanks that they have accumulated are too beefy for Team Liquid. Seeing this Liquid close, priorities don't even. Priorities dry. He's tanky enough, however, to keep the fight going. Lemon Nation is still fighting as the team, yes, is taking the turret.
Oh wow, that Monsoon was really bad too. You have to save the Monsoon. This is really uncoordinated Juggernaut use from TL. You have to wait for their engage. Nobody even tries to protect Piglet in this fight. Piglet confirmed in Elo Hell.
But a single point of failure, low damage. You're seeing this Cloud9 lead, and the tanks that they have accumulated are too beefy for Team Liquid to cut through. 2 inhibitors down for Cloud9.
Cloud9 look like they've pulled it off. They really are not done here. This would be the lowest that they have ever placed. This Team Liquid.
You think, all right, they got Lemon Nation caught. Easy, right? Piglet is in the back, though. Can't immediately damage.
You must save this turret.
You're going to waste all the support time to kill the turret. Sneaky is a huge damage. Piglet is immediately...
This was well fought by C9, though. They got behind everybody right there. But Piglet can't kite. See, the thing is if you don't use these abilities on Piglet, then he can't kite and do any damage, and he has to be able to kite. So goodbye half his HP. Oh, you don't have any abilities left to use on Piglet? Well, I guess he just has to run away then.
I feel like that was a late Chaos. I think he also needs to Q
Piglet doesn't do any damage, and Kog'Maw is the only form of damage. So at this point, 2 inhibitors down. We're pretty much done here, right, kids? I think that this game's over really soon.
Tries to continue initiating, but there's not enough chase, and it looks like Cloud9, even with losing one of their damage strats, can still keep going.
Ah, damn
Make
it.
sure everybody's on the same page first.
Fighting with the minion waves as best they can. Cloud9.
Chase, minions enter the base.
Alright, let's look at that then.
Oh, Sneaky.
Sneaky just gets chain CC'd. Oh, the sweet Lulu damage. So they were just mispositioned right there. Sneaky was too far forward without any of his tanks in front of him. So now we have to wait for a Baron. Alright, free Baron.
Without their base to help manage minion waves, since all their buildings are banned, they're in a real tough place.
Meteos has a sorcery elixir. Not actually a bad idea. Here's something cool that I learned, by the way. If you are on a tank and you have Thornmail, that's really nicely done by Lemon. If you are on a tank and you have a Thornmail, see, this is how you want to use it. Did I say as he gets exploded? It's too late now, but I mean, they have C9 has a 15,000 gold advantage. That's not overcomeable, but they played it properly that time. The crits. Oh, yeah. So about Thornmail and tanks. So if you're super tanky in the late game, like this, and you see this Thornmail, if you buy Sorcery Elixir, whenever anybody hits you with an auto or any on-hit effect or whatever that triggers the Thornmail, it will actually return the true damage from the Sorcery Elixir onto your opponent. So it's actually really good for killing AD carries if you have Thornmail. And if you have Sorcery Elixir, Thornmail, and you're playing a Smite top laner with Gromp buff, that's like... that's crazy damage return.
The whole team as well. Big sigh of relief there that the hopes of the title are still alive for this spring split.
Yeah, congratulations to Cloud9 for winning Game 3, so their season and hopes of the NALCS championship remain alive. They still...
Yeah, actually, it probably works with Sunfire too. I don't